RYUC After Action Report Essential, Personal Truth and Internal Compass. This recording is part of a series of recordings reporting on an exploration into our creativity, collectively entitled Releasing Your Unlimited Creativity After Action Report, abbreviated RYUC-AAR. This particular recording addresses the creativity essential, understanding about the need to discern our personal truth and calibrating our internal compass. Background on the creativity essentials and the RYUC material. The creativity essentials are concepts, principles, ideas, or whatever one may wish to call them, related to the source out of which our creativity arises. The journey of exploration into our creativity revealed the essentials needed to be addressed and understood in some way by an individual if one desired to move as deep as possible into their own creativity, creative ability, and creative power in this incarnation. Otherwise, one would be placing self-imposed limits on their creativity. Essentials are not building blocks or fundamental items used to create something. Rather, the essentials are about the stuff out of which the building blocks and foundational items arise. It is suggested you ponder, contemplate, do your own experiments with the creativity essentials such that you know their truth for yourself. Here I wish to bring to your attention we each have a very unique perspective of creation. What I say and write about on the topic of creativity with its relationship with the creative essence of creation are my comments based on my observation and experience from the journey of exploration into our creativity. If what I say resonates with you, use it. Otherwise, it's recommended you do your own contemplation, experiments, and exploration into the variety of topics discussed here to see which true for yourself. Personal truth. We all have the ability to discern personal truth. It is beneficial to understand how it is possible to discern personal truth, to calibrate and use our internal compass. That is, to understand how it is possible to feel what serves and does not serve our creative needs, to create a satisfying life, if not to create a life worth living. The ability to discern personal truth is very important. To deny a personal truth is to deny one's being. Our personal truth is a relative truth we hold that is necessary for us to accomplish what we have chosen to create or incarnated to do. What is a personal truth? A personal truth is something true for us based on our uniqueness and what we incarnated to do. Our body is a vehicle we use to achieve what we incarnated to do. Our body can be seen as a lie detector to determine what is true for ourselves and what serves and does not serve our uniqueness and unique perception of creation. There is a simple exercise that can be performed to understand this aspect of our body. Listening to or reading the following words carefully and allow yourself to follow and do what is said. Think of some object or thing, a personal experience, a person, an activity, or whatever you choose that has great and unparalleled beauty and joy for you. You are free to choose whatever you wish. You can be at any time or at any place at any age. The place can be real or imaginary. Just think of some object, thing, or personal experience that gives you unparalleled beauty and joy. Allow yourself to feel the experience. Pay attention to what feeling arises in you as you recall the experience. Allow yourself to sit with feeling the experience for a few moments. Stop this recording if necessary to feel the experience. As you experience this object of focus that gives you great beauty and joy, notice the feelings you have. Allow yourself to be with what you feel and allow the feelings to permeate all of your being. Pay attention as to how you would describe what you feel or recognize what you feel at some time in the future. Pay particular attention as to how you would describe what you feel and or recognize what you feel at some future time. Take a moment to describe the experience and what parts of your body are feeling the experience. Again, pause the recording to feel the experience. Feel the beauty and joy of this experience. Tell yourself you will always remember what these feelings of great beauty and joy feel like, and you will recognize them in the future. Allow yourself to feel the beauty and joy this object of your focus gives you. Allow yourself to be present to this beauty. Again, pause the recording and think of how you will recognize the feeling of great beauty and joy. Now tell yourself that all you have just felt and experienced is a lie and totally untrue, because you hate whatever it is you said gives you great bliss and joy. Tell yourself you hate the object of focus. Tell yourself all that you just experienced is a fabrication, a lie. Tell yourself you've been deceived and the beauty and joy is not found in the object of your focus. Notice what parts of your body respond. Allow yourself some time to feel the lie and allow for a few moments to be with the feeling. Again, pause the recording and be with the feeling. Now notice how you respond to this revelation about what you cherish and how what you feel. Pay particular attention to how the feelings have changed. Pause the recording if necessary. This simple exercise provides the basic difference between something that is true for us and will resonate with our truth versus something that is not true for us and may even be a lie. In allowing ourselves to feel what we see, hear, read, or touch, pay attention to what we feel. Pay attention to see if what we are feeling goes in the direction of what is true for us or not true. Understandings about discerning personal truth. What we feel in thinking about what gives us great beauty and joy contains the elements of what truth feels like to us. It contains all the elements of what truth feels like to us at this point in time or is in the direction of our truth in life. That is, the feeling we have in this exercise is the type and kind of feeling we will feel when we experience something that is personally true for us. Some would say and describe what we experience at such times resonates with us. We feel the agreement within our being, and we need to note and be aware that our belief structure changes as we gain more experience in life, and we may find what is true for us changes, and that is okay. We should expect to change as our awareness expands. The comment as to the direction of the feeling means that, although we feel in the future may not be exactly what we feel now, what we feel now is the type and kind of feeling we will have. The feeling in the future may be different because we may be in a different environment. For example, the feeling we have in laying down and resting, whether we lay on a nice soft bed or a slab of stone, has an element in common. Similarly, the feeling of truth at different points and times in our life will have elements in common. If we follow the common feelings, we will always be moving in the same direction in our life. We can learn to discern these common elements of the feeling and use them to measure how true something is for us. We need to realize what gives us great beauty and joy is unique to us. It is our truth. The feeling of great beauty and joy we feel also contains the elements we have when we embrace what is true for us or a truth about what we desire to create. What is true for us serves us and who and what we are. What is true for us does not cause us to deny the essence of our being. It allows us to grow and expand into the awareness of who and what we are. If we are open to our feelings, we may literally feel ourselves expanding. It is said that what we feel contains the elements of what truth feels like, because we can and we will feel what is true for us whether or not something is pleasurable. That is, what we are experiencing is not what we want to experience, but we know it is an experience which aligns with our truth, and we need to experience the experience we are having. Two things do need to be noted about one's personal truth. One is that as we gain experiences in life, it may and most probably will change. However, the second point is the feeling that makes us feel alive and full of life does not change. That feeling is immutable. As we move into life and into those activities that give life, we will have a greater fullness or passion within our being. This is the essence of the internal compass and is reflective of why we incarnated and the experiences we incarnated to have. But what we feel in telling ourselves that what gives us great bliss and joy is a lie contains the elements of what we feel at this point in time when something does not serve us or the direction we are going does not serve us. That is, if we continue to do things that give us such feelings, the feeling of the lie, we will be going in a direction in life that does not ultimately serve us or our best interest. What we feel is a combination of what we feel when we know we are lying to ourselves and what we feel when we experience an untruth, for a lie is an untruth we tell ourselves. What needs to be understood is what is untrue for us does not ultimately serve us and who and what we are, and we can feel that when we are not being served. What does not serve us causes us to deny the essence of our being in some way. What is untrue for us does not allow us to grow and expand in awareness. Rather, in some way, we have to deny what is to live or act in accordance with that untruth. Lying to ourselves is the same as living or acting in some way that is not true for us. If we are aware, we feel it. Continuing to tell a lie or living in the lie and feeling pain or discomfort arising from that lie or untruth causes us to numb what we feel. This in turn lays the seeds for addictions or desensitizing ourselves to what we feel. As a minimum, we can become aware of how an untruth seems to steal or drain our energy to be enthusiastic in what we do. We may even see and feel ourselves shrinking and collapsing, much like a balloon whose air is being released. Or we may simply find ourselves going to sleep at whatever level of our being that is not being served by what we are doing. The more we lie to ourselves, the more we move into the unawareness about ourselves. In doing so, we become more and more insensitive to what we feel. The more we lie to ourselves or live a lie, the less passion, energy, enthusiasm we have to live life or for life. Calibrating the internal compass. The Calibrating our internal compass exercise has 3 primary sections, and its results can be used in 3 ways, and these 3 ways can overlap. One use of the exercise is to create what we desire. The second is to use it to create a life worth living to serve our being. The third way to use it is to find the purpose of our incarnation and ultimately shatter our ego and what we currently think is important. Seeking to find the purpose of our incarnation is about transcending our ego as we currently know and understand the ego, thus fulfilling the wish to explore the reason for our incarnation, since the intention for our life lies beyond the ego. In the following exercises, you will be asked to remember experiences in your life that made you feel a certain way. It doesn't matter if you're doing something acceptable or unacceptable in the eyes of your society, or even when viewed by the eyes of your own mind. You just need to remember that the feelings you had in the experience you were having. The focus should be on remembering the feelings and exactly what you felt. The focus should not be on any judgments of your mind or the mind of others or the implications of the experiences you had. At this point in time, just remember the feeling and exactly what you felt to the best of your memory. If you have difficulty remembering or finding the types and kinds of experiences requested here, or accessing the feelings within the experience, there are some recommendations provided at the end of this section to address such an issue. In any case, you may continue with the exercise the best you can, for it will give you an idea as to what to look for in the future. Section 1. Fullness of life, fullness of being, feeling most alive. In this exercise, you will be asked to recall 5 experiences in your life where you felt the most fully alive, where you had an enthusiasm or passion for life and for living. That is, you were full of life, and the abundance of what you felt caused you to want to experience more life. If you cannot recall 5 experiences, recall what you can, even if it's only 1. These experiences should be experiences where you felt passion or you were so full of enthusiasm, energy, and awareness that you thought you would explode. They should give you a feeling that everything inside of you wants to burst forth, to come out like a flower blossoming or an orgasm to happen. You can call such experiences a peak experience in your life. The feeling may have felt so wonderful, such that it is almost as though you could sit for eternity in that feeling. The emphasis here is that you want to be in the experience and just be in the experience as opposed to doing anything with it. You may feel as though you want the experience to never end. The experience could be with a person, a place, a thing, a sensation, an experience of some type, or simply a discovery. It doesn't matter what it was. Just record at least 5 experiences that made you feel most alive, full of life, or gave you a passion for life and for living. Another way to view this passion and enthusiasm is feeling that if you cannot do what gives rise to this passion, or you are unable to feel this passion, a part of you would die or atrophy in some way. If you have no memories of such an overwhelming experience, look to see what experiences you have that come close. This is not about listing pleasurable experiences. You may find you had several levels of pain and fear in the experience, like climbing the face of a mountain, but it nevertheless gave you a passion and a desire to live and engage life and be in the experience. For a woman, these types of feelings could be the simultaneous pain and pleasure associated with childbirth. For man, they could be the simultaneous thrill and fear in the experience of combat or a fierce competition that gave rise to these feelings. Some may call these experiences an adrenaline rush. It doesn't matter. The question is, what experience made you feel most alive and full of life? What were you doing in these experiences, and who were you with? It is at this point you can stop the recording and record your 5 experiences and observations. When you have finished listing the experiences, prioritize the experiences. List which ones gave you the greatest fullness of being and the greatest fullness of life. That is, which experience gave you the greatest feeling of being alive, or a feeling like you were totally full, or so totally fulfilled in life that you could burst because of the life that was being contained within your being. Here again, the emphasis is that you wanted to be in the experience. Beginning with 1, rank the experiences that you listed as to their fullness of being. The number 1 experience is the experience out of all those you listed that gave you the greatest feeling of fullness of life. It was as if you could not fit any more of life into yourself because you were so full. Once you have listed and prioritized the experiences, look to see how the feelings of the fullness of being looks and feels. What were the common feelings of fullness, if any, that ran through all the experiences? The emphasis here is on how did the feelings of being most alive and full of life look like to you. With the expectation that you will share your results, describe the best you can what this feeling of wanting to burst forth with life feels like to you. How would you describe it? How would you recognize it? Pay attention to how you would recognize it in the future if experienced again. If there are attributes of experiences you cannot explain or describe, at least become aware of these attributes within your being you cannot communicate. You can have the awareness of things and know that you have awareness without being able to describe them. As necessary, stop the recording and record your results and observation. Section 2. The desire to engage life. In this part of the exercise, look through your life and find 5 experiences that gave you the greatest enthusiasm for life and for living and made you want to engage with life more. This is a movement to either want to create more of the same type and kind of experience or to change your life because of the experience. That is, you want to move into life. They can be the same 5 experiences previously listed or new experiences. If you cannot recall 5 experiences, recall what you can, even if it's only 1. Here the emphasis is on wanting to engage life and move into life. The earlier exercise was not about having any desire to move into life, but rather to just sit in the experience. This part of the exercise is what called or calls you to move into life and engage life. Here you can stop the recording again and record your experiences and observations. Beginning with 1, rank the experiences you listed. Let the number 1 experience be that one experience out of all those you listed that gave you the greatest enthusiasm and desire to engage life and jump into life. It doesn't matter if the number sequence agrees or disagrees with the previous part of the exercise. With the expectations that you will share your results, describe the best you can what this feeling of wanting to burst forth and jump into life feels like to you. Pay attention to how you would recognize it in the future if experienced again. If there are attributes of the experience you cannot explain or describe, at least become aware of these attributes within your being you cannot communicate. You can have an awareness of things and know you have an awareness without being able to describe them. Once you have listed and prioritized the experiences, look to see what the enthusiasm and passion to jump into life felt or feels like. Determine if there are common feelings, if any, that ran through all the experiences. The emphasis here is on how the enthusiasm to jump into life felt. As necessary, stop the recording and record your results and observation. Section 3. Desiring to share. Identify 5 experiences that gave you the greatest desire, passion, or enthusiasm and desire to share what you had experienced with another person. That is, describe what you were experiencing that was so wonderful that all you could do was desire to share it with another person. For example, you were in such a wonderment and awe that all you could do was share as if you were a little child trying to share a new discovery about life. If you cannot recall 5 experiences, recall what you can, even if it's only one. In this category, there may be no such experience you can recall, and that is okay. Don't list experiences where you like to share. Rather, the experience here are experiences where you're so overwhelmed all you could do was share. You may want to look at those experiences where you were trying to share, but were reprimanded in some way and told, stop playing around and get to work. These experiences can be the same experience listed above or different experiences. As necessary, stop the recording and record your results and observation. Beginning with 1, rank the experiences you listed. Let the number 1 experience be the experience out of all those you listed that gave you the greatest enthusiasm and desire to share what you experienced. It doesn't matter if the numbered sequence agrees or disagrees with the previous part of this exercise. With the expectation that you will share your results, describe the best you can what this feeling of wanting to experience feels like. Pay attention as to how you would recognize it in the future if experienced again. Note if there are any attributes of the experience you cannot explain or describe. At least become aware of these attributes within your being you cannot communicate. You can have an awareness of things and know that you have an awareness without being able to describe them. After you have listed and prioritized the experiences, look to see what the enthusiasm and passion to share life and what it feels like to desire to share life. What is the common feelings, if any, that run through all the experiences you listed? The emphasis here is on what the desire to share felt like. As necessary, stop the recording and record your results and observation. Setting the internal compass. The object of this exercise is to remember the experiences in life that made us feel most alive and want to live and embrace life. Here the emphasis is on what is the feeling which was experienced, not the experience itself. After listing and reviewing the experiences, we should be able to begin to discern which experiences in life give us or moves us towards a fullness of being that move us towards enthusiasm and passion for life and for living. The emphasis here is to remember the feelings and what exactly the feelings felt like. Discerning between the feeling of fullness of being and passion for life and for living will help you to see both what gives us the satisfaction in life and leads us to being full of life and what propels us forward wanting to engage life. Doing what gives us the fullness of being will help us create a life that we feel is worth living and can even give us an inner bliss and joy that never runs dry. The feeling of wanting to engage life is where you will find the passion to create and manifest anything you desire. To find ourselves and truly learn to live life in a way that allows us to have a fullness of being and a passion and enthusiasm to engage life, we will have to become a little narcissistic and maybe even withdraw from our normal life for a while. We will need to find time for ourselves. We cannot give what we do not have. We must first find the truth of our being and then come to know our truth and what it feels like. We will then have to develop the strength of will to freely live our truth, fully expressed in the external world, and learn to dance with the world. When we have achieved this, we then can give our truth and live our authentic self and create the space for another to find and live their truth. Until then, we can only give captivity to another, for that is all we have until we free ourselves. The feeling of the desire to share is what allows us to create the unconditional space for another to become free and participate in the freedom within us in our creative endeavors. The feeling is true north on our compass. Knowing what gives us the freedom and ability to expand into the freedom of our own being takes us to the source of our creative power and to the source of creation. Using the internal compass. Using the internal compass. One way to use our internal compass is to set our internal compass for a particular creative endeavor. We set our internal compass by looking to the feeling of the experience we desire to create. We need to ask ourselves, what will it feel like to have what I desire? And look to see what we feel. The feeling itself can be used to guide us to what we wish to create. This is necessary for a new, original, never-before-experienced creation for what mind thinks is of little value. That is, because mind only knows the past and never have experienced the new, never-before-experienced original creation. Now, depending on what we desire to create, we may find it is not in full alignment with our current reason for incarnating. In this case, the feeling we get for what we desire to create will create a mismatch from true north which to guide us. Some confuse the feeling that aligns with the flow of energy that arises from the intention we hold in our mind and what the mind wishes to create as being the flow of the energy arising from the intention for our life, but they are different. The mismatch will tell us how removed we are from the source of our creative power and how well we are being served by what our mind is choosing to create. Whatever feeling we lock onto, we then need to become aware of every decision we make. We need to look to the feel of the decision and look to see if the feeling of the decision is in alignment to the feeling of what we desire to create. We need to look to see if the feeling serves us to move into the feeling we desire or serves to move us away from the feeling. What we choose to focus on is our choice. There is no judgment on what we choose, only consequences for the time and place in which we live. Here it needs to be noted that if we choose to align with the intention for our life, we need to learn to navigate from the heart. We need to look to see where our heartfelt passion lies to set the direction for our life, and have mind and the decisions the mind makes to move towards the direction our heart desires. The issue of pain, addictions, and being out of alignment. One consequence of what our mind desires to create for whatever reason is too far out of alignment with the intention for our life, there can be the issue of pain. The pain that is possible, which we will feel, runs along a spectrum. At one end of the spectrum is a subtle discomfort. At the other end of the spectrum is an extreme intense pain or a deep inner longing. If we move to numb the pain, suppress the pain, or otherwise somehow push it out of our life, we risk creating an addiction or an addictive type behavior. The pain will not go away until we bring ourselves more into alignment with what we incarnated to do. Here it needs to be noted that thinking itself can be an addiction. If we use thinking or what our mind chooses to do in life to be distracted as to not feel the pain or discomfort in how we are living our life or unable to be with ourselves to see what we really feel, we are in an addictive pattern. Also, there is the issue that we may find that when we actually get what we desire, we do not have the feeling that we thought we would have when we ask, what does what I desire feel like? The reason for this is that mind cannot know the unknown. If what we wanted to experience was a new original creation, which mind had never experienced, but we thought we wanted to feel, was the recreation of something from the past. What we really desired that gave rise to what we thought we wanted was a flow of energy inaccurately characterized by mind. We can feel the flow of energy accurately, but our mind will not accurately characterize what we feel unless we have the minimum set of experiences to characterize the feeling. So when we get what we thought we wanted, we simply need to realize we got our mind's improper characterization of what we wanted. But we have not made a mistake. You now know what we want is not what we think, so we are free to step out of what we think and surrender to the feeling and follow the feeling to guide us. If this is what we experience, we simply need to ask ourselves, what is the next step I need to take? What does it look like to create what I desire to feel? Then honor the intuitive guidance we get. It may be several iterations, but in time we will move towards having experiences that move us closer and closer to the experiences we desire to feel. When we combine the fullness of being and the fullness of life and the desire to engage life in what we are doing in life, we are aligning with and moving towards our life purpose. When we want to sit in the experience and not move into life, we are somehow disengaging or missing the reason for our incarnation. If we want to create more of a certain type and kind of experience, but we do not optimize the fullness of being, then what we do is related to what we incarnated to do, but we are missing what we came to do. We will need to explore what similar things we can do that also give the fullness of being and allows that fullness to grow and expand. We then simply need to look for the one that gives the greatest feeling of being. We may be here to serve people, but there are many different ways to serve. If our real purpose lies with children, but we serve the elderly, we are missing our purpose, and we will never be as effective as we could be, and we will never feel the fullness of our being as it can be experienced. Although there may be great satisfaction in serving the elderly and contributing greatly to their well-being, what we do will not be as significant as what we would do following the alignment with our life purpose. Doing things are amplified, especially the experiences of life itself, when we are aligned and doing what we incarnated to do. Finding and accessing feeling. One issue some individuals face is finding or being aware of feelings is other than outright pain. Some individuals are unaware they can perceive subtle feelings. Yet it is these subtle feelings which can be used as an internal compass. If we have trouble feeling or discerning what we feel, we can always create a situation that can allow us to learn to discern what we feel. To assist us in the effort of calibrating our internal compass or getting a feel of what we wish to create, we can create a real or symbolic or representative experience, such as a ritual or metatheater. To calibrate your internal compass, the intention is to feel and align with the flow of energy that's causing us to enter physical life. To get a feel for this energy, we can construct a theatrical experience of what we think is the intention for our life or what we desire to create and become aware of the feeling of the experience. Depending on what we feel, we can stop there or do other variations of the theatrical experience to see how the feeling does or does not shift. For example, we may think the purpose of our life is to work with people, so we would spend an afternoon in an old age home, an afternoon in a daycare center working with small children, an afternoon working with teenagers, an afternoon working with healthy adults, or an afternoon with sick adults. We can then compare the experiences and see which experience, if any, made us feel most alive. As we set up scenarios, we will refine the feelings and come to know what makes us feel most alive, feel full of life, and cause us to desire to want to engage life. Then, with the awareness of feeling, become aware of every decision we make as to whether it serves us to move into the feeling or serves us to move away from the feeling. Similarly, we can do the same thing for what we wish to create. We can create scenarios to play out getting what we desire and see what it feels like. If what we experience feels like what we would like to experience or lead us in the direction of what we wish to feel, we can use the feeling to guide our decision as described above. In any case, what we choose to focus on to create is our choice. There are no judgments on what we choose, only consequences for the time and place we live. However, to do this, we need clarity as to what exactly we desire to create, which includes understanding our intention for what we wish to create and why we hold the intention we do. The intention we hold may or may not serve us.